A month ago, I introduced Carriacou to the world in the worst way possible. Documenting how quickly paradise can be lost. Now, a month later, there's a realization that surviving Hurricane Beryl was the easy part.
How many people do you think are in a situation like this, where they're kind of just staying in a cobbled together house?
Everybody, because I've seen and asked, there are people living with people. She didn't speak, she didn't eat for 2 days. She started having fever, it was, the kids were traumatized.
The first part of it, you're kind of on this adrenaline, you go. And probably yesterday was my worst day.
I like to say that if you watch our videos, you really just see the tip of the iceberg, and the iceberg is the logistics and everything it takes to get to where we go and how we arrive and why we're there and where, it's chaos. We arrived here to Grenada and a flight that we had scheduled to Carriacou was canceled. So immediately I was able to contact friends that I just met online and social media that have watched the videos, that reached out, appreciated what we did in Carriacou after Hurricane Beryl, and they've been a massive help to organize a boat ride, a speedboat. Here in the northern end of Grenada, we're in Sauteurs, and we're going to be taking it a few miles just to the north to Carriacou. It's going to be an adventure, like I said. You guys see the tip of the iceberg, and it is a very big iceberg underneath the water.
Go ahead, grab that one.
There you go. What's up, man? Jonathan.
Phil.
Phil?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Phil. Brandon?
Phil? Brandon. Good to meet you, man.
And Anthony, right?
Yeah, Anthony.
All right, Anthony. Thank you. Am I good here, or do you want me to sit here? Yep.
The thing about icebergs, they don't go well with boats.
We never do the easy things.
It took rounding the rock wall and venturing into the vast, unforgiving ocean to truly grasp the gravity of our situation.
Are you sure you're comfortable with these seas? You're good? You're good? Okay. Because we don't have to go. We can go back and take another boat tomorrow if this is too rough.
The relentless 4 to 6 foot waves were battering our aging bodies, each jolt a reminder of our folly.
We made a mistake.
We'd broken every cardinal rule of seamanship, a sailor's handbook of don'ts. A tiny boat, single engine, no radio, no flare gun, no cell signal, no GPS, no help. And just to up the ante, night was creeping in, shadows lengthening into darkness. We're so accustomed to focusing on our destination that we overlook the perils along the way. For the first time in a long time, I was genuinely afraid.
It's dumb enough getting a boat this size in daylight, but then it's dark doing it.
Sadly, I see firsthand how quickly life can change on a regular basis, whether it's through a hurricane, a tornado, or even a flood. But your life can just as easily be upended here online. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are using my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps to reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers. I don't know if you saw this, but AT&T recently revealed that over 73 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. Even Ticketmaster also had a breach that affected more than 500 million users. When I see these data breaches now, I really don't worry about it because I know I'm protected with Aura and I want you to be as well. I value my privacy and I value yours. That's why I want you to go to aura.com/JP. There you can sign up for a free 2-week trial. I also will have it linked in the description.
Well, good morning from the island of Carriacou. 3 weeks ago, we stepped foot for the first time here. A lot has changed. Obviously, the hurricane has come and passed, and now the most difficult part the recovery. You can hear the generator. Where we are is actually part of the story. I've said many times before, the worst weather brings out the best in people. And this is a perfect example. We're staying in a stranger's guest house. Hotels here are all gone. There's really no accommodations. So the only way to make this possible for us to be here is the kindness of strangers. And this is Mike. Mike has been kind enough to let us in his house. Mike, why would you do that?
Because you were drinking beer with us last night.
So Mike's was gone during the hurricane, but you reached out on social media briefly about Starlink and how we got communications.
Yeah, and how to get communications really back to the island and what was the best way to do it. And Starlink has been absolutely perfect for us. Yeah.
Could you show me, kind of take me through the house and show me what the Beryl did to your place?
Well, it totally ripped off the whole. This was a open air roof here, so it's ripped all that off. We had a little jacuzzi area over there, which is now pretty deflated.
Oh yeah.
And a swimming pool down here, which is where the roof ended up. Most of the roof, that avocado tree there, that was one of the best avocado trees I've ever seen. That was just laden with fruit, and now it's all gone. That was in the bottom of the pool. The apartments over there, taking the roof off, taking the doors off. And really just, you can just look round at all your neighbours and people there who used to have beautiful houses that are just splattered around the hillside. Blew the windows out up there. So I think that the power is absolutely unimaginable. Unimaginable. I mean, I wasn't here for it, but it is unimaginable what it can do. Just blew stuff everywhere.
This is an unbelievable amount of stress.
Yeah.
They just survived something very traumatic. Did you know how people were going to react, and how has it been for you, and how they've kind of reacted and responded to this hurricane?
Oh, well, we've spent 2.5 years doing this place up. We've used local labour, local lads. We've got pretty close to some of those guys. They're not just workers for us, they're good friends. A couple of them we took back to the UK for a couple of months. So we know them really well. And the people over here are really kind, so I didn't really have any concerns about that kind of thing. As I said last night, two of the guys who worked for me, the day after the hurricane, their houses had been completely destroyed, but they walked up here to check on this for us.
Emotions are as raw and exposed as people's homes on the island. First, we went to the town of Hillsborough, to the Hotel Lorena, where we rode the hurricane out. We wanted to see our friends. And I walked across the street to talk with Anika, who had been staying in the room next door during Hurricane Beryl.
Is missing?
Well, you can see this side.
Whoops. So it did a number.
Yeah, all the clothes lost. I'm trying to wash them out.
Yeah. So what was the whole roof was gone, right?
Yes.
It was all gone?
It's Beryl, it's rough. I'm out of a job. But I'm hanging there.
How?
By the grace of God. I'm hanging there. I'll get through it. But food wise, we're getting food. Water, we're getting water. Not much, but we're getting.
How are you guys doing?
Great.
Doing okay? I'm glad to see there's fresh water at least, right?
Well, at least, we can get some water to drink.
Yeah.
At least to cook. Better than nothing.
So this is a really hopeful sign. You can see the Osprey ferry that runs between Grenada and Carriacou. It's jam-packed full of volunteers to come and help continue the cleanup effort here in Carriacou.
It's not a big ferry, though, and the 9,000 souls on Carriacou understand rebuilding isn't a luxury afforded by waiting. It's a necessity, a gritty, hands-on reality where the community must roll up their sleeves and get to work, relying on their own resilience and each other.
So what was this place?
Oh, we haven't officially give it a name, so people used to call it the pink bar.
I see you with your work gloves. You're just kind of...
Oh yes, we're trying to get rid of all the stuff here. Maybe put it, some of the materials is good, salvage, get rid of the rest and start over.
Good job. Assistance, if people from the outside could come in and provide something.
What do people need now, because we are independent people, as you can see, what do people need now is help, materials, you know, to build back their homes, build back their little businesses. That's what we need now here.
The nails, the screws, the wood,
the nails,
the metal,
galvanized, yeah, that's what we need.
I brought friends.
What they really need is some kindness, which just happens to be the name of Dave and Diane's catamaran. Two sailors from Massachusetts who now live on kindness full time.
Because we were pretty darn grateful that it didn't come down to southern Grenada where we were hunkered up. And for a while there, we thought it was gonna. And we thought, you know, very realistically that we could lose our boat, our home. And we didn't. So we were really grateful. And then it became a matter of, okay, what do we do with that gratitude? You know, how do we express that? And I think the idea is we came because we could.
The couple is helping Rise Grenada to shuttle supplies to rebuild small businesses like Paradise Beach Club and documenting the efforts as citizen journalists.
When we got here, we realized that, you know, there's the need to kind of demonstrate what's happening here, because I think all too often it's something that happens and then it kind of goes away in people's minds.
And this day, showing us kindness by taking us to Petite Martinique, an even smaller island just north of Carriacou. Okay, this is my first steps here on Petite Martinique. The closest we could get during Beryl was on the windward side of Carriacou. You can see in the distance there. With permission of the Prime Minister, Brandon was able to fly his drone and show at least what had happened from Beryl, but showing it from the drone and being on the ground is a lot different of a story, and so I hope to be able to find some people and hear their stories.
It was terrifying, you know, the worst I've experienced in my lifetime.
Trust me, that was the strongest one for a long time since I am around.
We went under the bed, yes, because the wind was so strong that the house was vibrating. So
how did your house survive?
Only God one knows. Only God knows. Yeah.
So many times you wonder, how does one house crumble to just debris, and then something like this survives, still standing? It barely looks like anything happened. But this well-built concrete structure next door has a roof completely gone. Everywhere you look, damage is catastrophic. That roof's completely gone. But somehow, this little home with a mom, daughter, and a grandmother stood strong.
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? The concrete structures around here, as you can see, this one is crumbled. And like as you just said, two houses up there that are just made out of galvanized tin and plywood stay virtually untouched.
The wreckage on Petite Martinique rivals the worst of Carriacou, but with a port that's barely more than a pier, the tiniest gem of Grenada feels even further adrift in its recovery. Yet their spirit remains unbroken, their faith standing tall, outlasting even the steeples of their churches.
The stronger ones have to remain to rebuild, and then after you could bring back, you know, your families together.
Do you have a hope?
Yeah, I see us, you know, rebuilding between now and the next 6 months. You should see a great improvement. Day by day, we do little by little, we'll get there.
But big problems remain for this tiny island. First and foremost, shelter, or lack thereof, for thousands of residents.
I had to come over at his house.
Which is here?
Which is here.
Okay.
My mom, however, she stayed at the neighbor for all this time. And now she put tarpaulin on the roof, so she's back in. But it's temporary because just now the tarpaulin will rot and nowhere else. If rain come, it would wet again. You know, it's like a cycle. So we're fortunate. Yeah. But it's terrible, and we need help, a lot of help over here. A lot of people are homeless. They're bunking with the neighbors, but the neighbors may get frustrated and because they want their space, you know, this kind of thing. So it's not an easy thing to deal with.
Then there's the sailors or cruisers, which are in dire straits.
So this area is essentially a harbor inside the harbor. This is where a lot of the cruisers, the sailboats, the catamarans, they came before the hurricane. They didn't have a chance or a choice to go south to Grenada. And this was the last refuge, a last place of hope. The storm surge overwhelmed the mangroves, lifting these boats out, flipping them over, stacking them in a giant knot. And what's even more incredible, there were people in their boats here during the hurricane.
This is what blew away. Right? This hatch blew away at about 100 miles an hour.
How did you find
After the
it?
mast fell down. Crawling through those nasty trees over there. I was ready to abandon the boat. I wore a full wetsuit and a face mask, shorty wetsuit. And if I had a helmet, I would have had it on. And the hatch that you're sitting on weighs like 45 pounds, and I lifted it because there was something stuck in it, and the wind caught it, and I last saw it doing 100 miles an hour heading in that direction.
Was there ever a moment during the storm where you regretted being in your boat?
Never. I was too busy covering my bases. Never been in anything like that where I went through the eye, where it went from 150 to flat calm with 40, 50 boats in a crowd just circling here in the eye with the rise of the tide, sending them all out that door. And all those boats in that corner were drifting in a barge out there. I was anchored right there, right? Tied to the tree at that point. And they were all circling, and then the wind came back with a vengeance even stronger, and boom, they all blew into the corner, bringing with it higher water that at one time they couldn't have gotten into that corner because the water's too shallow. So it was like,
But the water was above the mangroves?
the waves were breaking over the top of the trees, but the water was a couple of feet below it. This boat, which is probably 2,000 tons or something, is high and dry. The red one, the propeller I can stand in, and it's totally on the land. You don't. That is an amazing amount of displacement and steel to throw up on a beach.
In many cases, these are people's homes. This is where they live. And to see it like this, it's the same as seeing a home without a roof. These are boats unable to float.
And then the animals. While the island hosts the friendliest stray dogs I've literally ever pet, the lone animal hospital is battered, in need of rebuilding, and the staff is racing to distribute food around the island. Without it, these dogs are going to continue to attack the chickens, the sheep, the goats that the people here depend on for survival.
Because the animals are loose, if we give them food, then there's going to be less livestock attacks and things like that. And some people don't understand that, but it is a fact. If the dogs aren't hungry, then they're not looking for food all the time.
And that's been a problem. Dogs are attacking livestock.
Livestock. It's a lifelong problem here, but worse probably since the hurricane. So trying to avoid that, and then we get into this whole issue of poison and et cetera, et cetera. So trying to stay away from that as much as we can.
After witnessing the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl a month on and feeling despair creeping in, pause, take a deeper look, and really listen to the people, their stories, their resilience, their unbroken spirit. That's where hope lives.
How are you guys keeping your smiles? I've noticed no matter where I've gone around Carriacou or up into Petite Martinique, everybody still is very friendly. They want to talk. They want to...
You know what's amazing? We have life. And we have to thank God every day that we are alive to actually tell our story. If we weren't here, we would not be able to tell our story. And we can rebuild. it is possible to rebuild. Yeah, so all we have to do is keep the faith. Once we have a smile on our face, then our neighbors will be smiling, our children will be smiling, our parents will be smiling. So just keeping a positive mindset.
I think the biggest takeaway a month after Hurricane Beryl is the people here are just really waiting for a chance to be able to rebuild. They are willing and able to take raw materials and repair their homes, rebuild their homes. They just don't have the material. They don't have the wood. They don't have the metal. They don't have the nails, the hammers, the screws. They just need the raw materials to really get started, and that's what they're waiting for. Thank you so much for continuing to watch the videos here on my YouTube channel, Jonathan Petramala, also on the YouTube channel WX Chasing. By watching our videos when we share them on our own channels, that's how you support us. You support us to be able to do more independent journalism like this. When our videos are downloaded and re-uploaded on other channels, that's theft. It's copyright theft, and it hurts us. It hurts us financially. It's money that is gone forever that we're never going to be able to recoup to be able to continue to come to places like Carriacou before hurricanes like Beryl. So thank you very much for continuing to support us. Like, share, throw a comment in there. And we're going to continue to do the best we can do to share and show the truth